alaikum. Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. You all may be seated. Brother fired me up. I hope everyone's doing well today. Since I'm feeling so good, I'd like to make this a very good day for myself and for you all. Answer whatever questions you need to know the answers to. What they told you or what you heard just before I arrived and came to the podium is absolutely the truth. Isn't that wonderful? Yes, sir. It's absolutely the truth.
Yes, sir.
Now, this saves us from looking elsewhere. If it's true, and it is what you heard, you don't have to look no more. You may want to ask questions about things that you may be doubting what you heard. That's why I'm here. There is no one that is conducting any such meetings the way we do. Most people are afraid, or their knowledge is very limited, or it is at best debatable. So they don't put themselves in this type of position. Man, I feel tall today. I don't know. So this is a very unique, in other words, what I said that so you would think, don't pass over nothing. You pay attention to everything. You can't go to church and the preacher allow you to ask him questions. You may ask him one. If he don't know, he'll tell you, well, pray on it. That means you still don't have the answer. And he don't have the answer. If you ask me something that I don't know how to answer, that'll be the first. If I don't know the answer. If I don't answer it, it'll be because it's not time. Not that I don't know the answer. However, no one has asked me anything as of yet that it wasn't time to answer and I didn't have the answer. This is the third time here in Tallahassee. This is another college town, that's right. Where are the people? No one wants to know where God is? They don't want to talk to God? Or are you so sure that I'm not? You'd be wasting your time to come and see. These are just questions that you should ask yourself, and when you talk to other people after this meeting, you speak with them that did not come. You could ask them why. If they don't know where God is, and he says he's coming to your town, it would appear that everybody should come out. Unless they're in love with what the devil has for them, what they're living in. Thank you. If they're not in love with it and they want to learn how to be saved, regardless of when you come, you're going to have to speak to me or someone that has touched the hem of my garment. If you don't, you're not going to be saved. And we don't have a long time for you to make your mind up. That's everybody. How many is here for the first time? How many is the first time you all seeing me? Really? We got any Christians? Got some Christians? Anybody from any other camps? The minister's camp? Wallace? Minister Farrakhan? Imam or Esau? Okay. So everybody's pretty much neutral. Everybody else is with me, I guess. That's it. There's so many things I would like to say. However, every time I go to speak, what limits me in what I say is you all. You know, it's the same principle as you speaking with your children. There's many things that you would like for your children to know. However, it would almost be like wasting words because what you tell them that's above their ability to reason, it would be a waste. They couldn't do anything with it. Now, I see a lot of people that do tell their children many things that's out of their reach of understanding, and then when they get in the company or they're with themselves and they speak in such a manner, you know the child is saying things that they don't really understand what they're saying. So it shows them, or the parents, are putting too much on the child. I don't want to bring the spirit down, but I do want you to think. I'm a person that has to cause you to think right or change your thinking. What we've been in or what we are in is hell. That's the total opposite of the way God thinks. In order for us to be right, you're going to have to think the way I think. In order for that to take place, have you been having the mathematical thinking classes? We have participants that's coming out? No new ones. Well, we'll have to do something about this. What is the population of black people here? Do you have an idea? About 30,000? 25% of 30,000, or that is 25%. Well, for you all that has never seen me before, or been to any temple, or been to the temple of mine, one of ours, you're going to hear something today that you've never heard before. And the last time I was here, I was asking the question, if you were God, what would you do? And the question still stands. If you were God, what would you do? Should I turn the clock back and wait for you all to come? Or should I continue going on doing what I'm doing in the way of bringing about the destruction? Because my duty here is only to bring up or to save or to retrieve or to bring back into the righteousness 144,000 people. 144,000 people. And bring about the destruction at the same time. And if it's 30,000 here, and I'm only looking for 144, you think about that. If you say, well, this man can't be God. Well, who is God? He can't be God. Well, where is he? If the time dictates in the last day, God himself would come. And I'm speaking to those that we see and don't see. Hoping that quite a few people that don't know, that is genuinely looking for what's right, get the tape. There'll be quite a few people that purchase the tape that are not here. The last time I was here, or the first time I think it was I was here, we made a tape. I spoke to the Christians one day, and that tape went all over the world, and I'm still getting calls about that tape. However, those of you all no more than what's here that has never been with me or have seen it, have you all that hasn't seen me heard a tape of mine yet? Just 2? 3? Do you share this with anyone else? Do you all share the tapes? Yes. Well, I know, Brother Wayne. I'm saying this because from what I see here, most of the ones that are here are already with me. And we are constantly sharpening our thinking. However, in the process of bringing about the destruction, I'm not waiting on nobody. That time is already set. And I'll be saying this as I'm going across the country because everybody needs to know. You know, if you are catching an airplane and everybody shows up except the pilot, the most important person of all the people there is the pilot. This is no different with you all. If all of you all are looking to be saved, you're looking to go to heaven. But the only person that can take you there is God himself. So you're on the boat, you're on the ship, you're on the bus, you're in your car. Everybody's waiting, they're gassed up, they're oiled up. Everything is ready to move. But the instructor hasn't shown up. So you can't go. Now let's reverse it. The pilot is on the plane. He's done revved the engines up. Everything checks out. And he has to take off, not from the number of people that boards the plane, but from the time. If he has to leave at 4 p.m., he has to leave at 4 p.m. if he carries nobody but himself. Then you get there 4:15. You missed the ship. You all listening?
Yes, sir.
This may sound very simple, but usually the simple things is what's hanging you up. If you're not going to come, if you're not going to seek God in the right way, the way it is written and already prophesied that I would come, if you don't seek it that way, you're not going to find me. It makes no difference on how hard you're looking, how deep you're studying. It's already laid out. We raised up a man named Elijah. It's already in the Bible. The last book in the Old Testament. The last book in the Old Testament. Before it comes into the New, which I'm bringing in, the New. It talks about Elijah. It closes out talking about Elijah. Before I come, Elijah must first come. And from the message that he brought and delivered was to turn your hearts towards God. And his towards you. However, if that don't take place, it don't take anything from Elijah nor God. But you'll be destroyed. You know, it's almost a hurting thing for me to go places and see all of the things that we wear, denoting where our mindset is. We have the African garb on. Some of us wear these things look like Chinese garbs. Japan, all these things that we be wearing, and the different jewelries and the different insignias that we wear. Even the Christians with the cross. They have a lot of knowledge with no understanding. When God comes around and he sees this, I'm looking at that. However, since I don't appear the way that you have been told God should appear, and then when you ask you, well, how does God appear? You can't tell it. If you ask that question, how does God appear? How does he look? You cannot answer it unless you answer the way the Bible says it. He has hair like lamb's wool, eyes like flaming coals, feet like burnt brass. But then you put in the church another person. So you're all mixed up. But God is looking at this. Now, in my mind, I'm saying I'm the one that has to actually do what has to be done to actually save these people. The ones that want to be saved. Most of you want to be saved, but you want to be saved the way you want to be saved. Not the way God said what must be done to be saved.
That's right.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. And I look at it this way. After this late date or late time, we only have a couple more years forward at the most before catastrophic things start taking place. I hope you all are listening. We have just a little time. And in your pursuit or search for happiness or for God, you want to go the way that has proven to be wrong. You can't go back to Africa and get nothing in the way of God that's going to save you in this time. They have to be saved.
Yes, sir.
You can't go to Arabia to get anything to save you. They have to be saved.
That's right.
Where there is no peace, there is no God. I'm not there. I was there when it was peace. When they rejected me and brought in and started breaking the peace and brought in war, I have to go. Now you can tell when I'm doing something. If it's from me, you can be at peace. I work with nature. You may have a storm to wipe our enemy out, but very rarely does it bother you. I work in such a way where you'll be saved and the other will be suffering. Even if you're living in a slum house. And the landlord is a slum landlord. He lives in a nice, beautiful home. His get destroyed and yours is still standing. That used to take place. Now, we're bringing that to an end because it is my people that has rejected me. I want you to listen. What I heard the ministers come on and say was very inspiring. It truly was. I was feeling good because what they were saying. But just to say it and don't put it into practice, I don't have no place for others to practice to make it not the word with you, but you becoming the word to me. That's a disheartening thing. It lets me know you know it or somebody is reciting it and it builds up the emotion or the spirit in you. However, if you don't kick in your own generator, you're going to run out of your spirit.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to be void again. When you leave here and step outside, as soon as you step out, Satan is there waiting for you. Matter of fact, some of you brought him in here with you.
Yes, sir.
If you stay long enough, I'll get rid of him for you. However, you're going to have to employ the right thing to keep him out. You're going to have to. I don't make nobody be with me. I don't make no one be with me. And if that were not so, we would not say or raise up Elijah. And his duty was to turn the hearts back to of the children to their fathers, and the fathers back to the children.
Yes, sir.
Now, whoever is a child of the father and don't want the father is not going to turn. I hope I'm making sense to you.
Yes, sir.
If you want me in a proper manner, then I must turn to you. I must. And I have to turn to you because I have what you don't have. I have what you do not have. It's called knowledge, wisdom, and power.
That's right. Right.
I do what I want to do.
Yes, sir. Right, sir.
You do what you can. And what you should want to do is be whole. When you are whole, then you be like me. You can do what you want to do. Because what you want to do is what I want. So we're not in no conflict. You're not fighting me, I'm not fighting you. However, as long as you stay in this world and you feel comfortable in this world, magnifying the things that it does, and think God is going to still come and save you, all you have to do is just go and pray. Ask God to forgive you, and he'll do it. And tomorrow you go do the same thing. You ask him again to forgive you. That's not the way it works in real life. It don't work that way. No. I know 144,000 is not very many people. These are the ones that will be coming based on the word of what I'm saying, because they have a base for the word. But I got something else for you, the rest of you all. And I'm giving it to you gradually. However, I'm going to start to speed it up, because it makes no sense in or out of this world for you to be young and useful and full of energy and going away from me. If you didn't give yourself the energy, you didn't give yourself the youth, you're not giving yourself the knowledge, why would you refuse your maker? Just a question. I'm just asking a question. Why would you? The man that you say is your God, you don't openly say it, but all of your actions says it. This Caucasian is your God. Whatever he says, that's what you do. You do it reluctantly because that's the way it's supposed to be, but you still do it. You talk about him like a dog, but you still do it. You got into a habit. So that's your God. You denounce him as being your God, but at the same time, he is your God. When the real God shows up, that's the God even over him. You say, no. Mr. Caucasian, if you don't accept him, I don't either. And I'm saying, this man is over you because we let him. I'm one amongst all of you, or that's over all of you. And I don't have nothing in my being that's against you. So why are you running from me? Have you not heard or have you not read? There's no hiding place.
That's right.
And I'm not an individual that's going to make you shame or embarrassed because you come before me and you think, well, God is omnipotent. He knows everything. I do. So he knows what I'm thinking. I don't. I don't care to know unless you want to tell me. If we have the proper time and we sit and talk, you can tell me what you're thinking or what you have thought or what you think you want to think on. Until you give me the permission, I leave you alone. Because I already know the level of your thinking. It's like going to I won't say pigpen. Or did I say that? Didn't catch it. Going to a very lowly place. And the only thing that happens in this place is low things. If I go to a bar and the only thing that's happening there is dancing and drinking, that's all they do. And that's not me. Why should I go? Right. These are your thoughts. Now, if you invite me in your thoughts for me to guide you or direct you or to help you in some manner, then I come in and see. Hope you all are listening. Because if I give you some type of soul-stirring message, you're going to feel happy and go out and say, he was bad. 2 or 3 days later, you're not going to remember nothing I said. Because it's going to wear off. But the things you need to do, I had to do it also. I had to look at what's real. And then act on it. Is it too hot in here? Well, you all going to have to do the same thing. And when you come to the mic today, whoever has any questions, ask me. I would like someone to ask me. I'll save that for later. I would like for everyone that does have questions to feel free. Ask me whatever you want to ask me. And when I'm giving you the answer, don't take it as though you was talking to your next door neighbor. If you ask me the question, I answer it back for you. And you act as though this is just another conversation, I'm going to feel hurt. Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Because if you do that, it makes what you're hearing in my eyesight as though you haven't heard anything. If you ask the question, it will be answered. Listen to the answer. And this is going for everybody else that gets this tape. When you hear it, whatnot, whenever you come before me and you got a question, you ask the question, listen to the answer. Listen to it. Then the next time I see you, you won't have to ask me the same question again. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Well, I would like to know, what are you all looking for God? What do you expect him to do? What would you expect me to do? This is what I have done so far, just on this trip. We prepared, got everything together. We've got all the motorcade together. And we've come hundreds of miles just to speak to you. How far did you come to see me? You think about it. I've come hundreds of miles to speak to you. How far did you come to see me? And those of you that didn't come, I don't know, it looks like you're getting sleepy. Maybe turn some air on or something in here. A couple of fans will cool it off, or breeze or something, open up a door. I'm putting everybody to sleep. Well, since I'm here, and I come to speak to you, what would you do if you've done this? We wouldn't have had to rent a hall. We went to a hotel or something. You came to my hotel room. But we bring the people, we bring the equipment, we spend the money to do this. And at the same time, you're looking for somebody else. We were almost late getting here, coming by a church, and they were letting so many people out of the church, they had to have an officer there to conduct the traffic. We sitting there in the traffic waiting to try to get here. But all of those people coming out of the church claiming that they were looking for me.
That's right.
You think about it. Now, what should I tell you today? We don't have very much time, and I'm only having one meeting here. What should I tell you? Who has any questions? Nobody has no questions? Only one man? Sister has some? What time is it?
5 minutes.
We're going to start off with the questions and see if we can generate some type of enthusiasm and see if you all really want to know if I'm God or not. Sister, if you want to go to the mic, go to the mic and ask the question. And anyone else that wants to ask, you can sit on the outside row over there. When she finishes, you can get up and go to the mic. Yes, ma'am. Walaikum salam.
I have a short letter from my son. Very short. And he has 3 questions. Dear sir, Yes. Dear sir, I am presently in a correctional facility in Tallahassee. I started studying Islam in 1992 and came into the knowledge of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad the following year. I've read The Message to the Black Man, Sciences, Supreme Mathematics, Supreme Alphabet, the 12 Jewel, and the Book of Lessons. I have manifested CE Lesson 1, Student Enrollment Lesson 1, question number 4. I have memorized everything from question to answer. As I manifest them, I break each down to the simplest form. I am currently working with 3 other brothers here who are striving to do the same. I am in the belly of the beast, sir, and pretty soon I will be free. Although he has me physically in bondage, he doesn't have me mentally in bondage. I have 3 questions. Is the Bible a roadmap for us to read the stories and apply them to ourselves? Is the Quran meant for us? And the third one is, if they set up stores in our neighborhood and make money from selling us pork, wine, beer, and cigarettes, and their ways and actions are like the devil's, and they have hid their true identity, the true identity of the prophet from us, are the Arabs truly our brothers?
Those are the 3 questions?
Yes.
I think the first one was, is the Bible a guide for us?
Yes, sir.
It's not so much a guide without understanding. The guide that was for us is Elijah. Now, if you accept him and the way he brought the message, then we could use the Bible along with what he brought to us, and we could see exactly what the Bible is instructing us or talking about. And most of it is talking about us. In the beginning of the letter, I heard where he studied quite a few different writings or literature.
Yes, sir.
And that usually is confusing. If he studied just the messenger's literature and he read others, he'd have a real good foundation as to what's really taking place. This is a man that we, the powers of the universe, fortified or set up for him to bring a message to the God, the lost one. And he did it for over 40 years. And the ones that were living during his time, most of them, 99.9% of them, rejected him. And so the ones that did accept him and were put into a seal did not teach their children. So it's almost now like we got to start all over from zero. However, to answer the question about the Bible, I would suggest that he only use it as a guide secondly after studying what the messenger taught, or he's it with me. It's ironic that the first question comes from incarceration. The brother physically couldn't be here. But I get a question from the unseen. Now, as far as the Holy Quran, is it for us? No, it isn't. The Holy Quran is a book that is for those ones in the East, or for this Caucasian, to govern his behavior. We as black people, we are the original people. We are the maker of the Quran. And we made it for a people that do not have the nature of us. We supersede the Quran. We don't need nobody to tell us what to do. We tell them. The fathers that is written about in the book of Malachi, turning the hearts of the fathers back to the children, It don't read, turn the hearts of the children back to the fathers, because they were never with the father. It reads to turn the hearts of the children to their fathers, and the fathers' hearts back to the children. So this means that the fathers have knowledge that the children don't have. They are the ones that do the telling. Now, if we look at that in its totality, the father of civilization is the black man.
That's right.
And the ones that is living under the Quran is not the black man. It wasn't originated with the Quran was not originated for the ones in Africa that we call Africa, although the East, Arabia is still in Africa, still a part of Africa. However, it was for a people that do not have the nature of the father. It has the nature of a son or a be-alike. Now, for us, if we're going to be who we are, we're not to have the Quran. You have to have the real person, the real thing, the real deal. You have to have the essence of it itself, the maker of the Quran. That's me.
Yes, sir.
And by having me, it will stimulate your nature for you to be creative. The Quran does not teach you how to be creative. It teaches you how to live a civilized life, but that's all. It's still redundant. You repeat things over and over and over. And even when you read the Quran, what it tells you about the terrible chastisement that's coming on so and so and so. And then the believers, the bliss in the heaven they're going to be in. It reads it over and over and over and over. It's repetitive. The black man is not that way. If he's really himself, what he does and he's conquered it and he's mastered it, he moves on. He leaves someone else there in that spot to master what he's already mastered, and he leaves signs to help them to master, cause them to grow. So no, we don't adhere to no book, nothing that's written. The only thing we adhere to that's written, it has to be written on official paper. This means your mind. You have to remember it because it's in accord with nature. And the way you remember it, it makes you light all the time. A man that's extremely wise in God knowledge always appears as though he knows nothing, even to himself, until he's asked. You don't walk around with it and say, well, this man is heavy. Just the opposite. I'm extremely light. Sometimes I think I can float away. But when you ask me whatever needs to be asked, or if I have to do whatever has to be done because no one else is there to do it, I come and I do it when others can't. And I don't do it because I read a book. Reading and writing is a weary to the soul because it taxes you. It puts an undue attention on you. If I have to stop and actually read something, I have to focus what I'm reading on, and I lose quite a bit of what's happening around me. However, if I'm not reading, I'm talking with you, if I'm thinking, I'm still cutting everything that's happening around me so I don't lose anything. It may be something that's around me that inspires me to come up with the answer of what I'm looking for in my search, in my thoughts. But if I'm focused on one thing, I lose everything else. That's why you don't find no God meditating either. God don't meditate. So no, ma'am. You let the brother know and everyone else to hear this. The Quran is not for us. It is us that was for a people that is not us. We put ourselves in a book. And Quran means quote often or read often. And the people that has the nature that cannot remember truth as it should be have to read it often, over and over. They have to pray 5 times a day to make sure they don't forget. And they pray the same prayers over and over and over. That is not the behavior of God. God may put things into motion where it repeats itself over and over and over, but he don't. The sun rises every morning on time, and it's been doing it for trillions of years. But that's not God. Dogs do what they do. Cats do what they do. They're set. But that's not God. So if you expect God to pray 5 times a day, you expect him to do these things over and over and over and over, then that's not God. And if someone comes before you and say they are God and you are to pray that, he's not God either. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Well, you said that's your son? How old is he? He's 22 years of age. You know, it would be a wonderful thing if those ones that are out here now that are not physically incarcerated embrace the proper thinking of what I'm bringing, so that I could show the ones that are incarcerated what they have to look forward to when they are released, or how to conduct themselves in such a manner while they're incarcerated that the people that got them incarcerated will release them. You know, the devil will not hold a righteous person. You know why? Because as long as he's holding him, he has problems.
Right.
If you're truly righteous, he lets you go.
That's right.
Go from me.
That's right.
I know you're not going to do anything to my people because you're righteous. But if you're mixed, some righteous, some unrighteous in you, he'll hold you and try to magnify the unrighteous so you can kill the righteous that's in you. You all understand that?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm waiting on you, young people. The messenger made it clear that the parents belong to him. The parents. Because we gave them to you. Gave you to him. But your children belong to me. You know why? Because the math says so. If the parent has been here in this world and studying and listening and gathering all what this world has for it, and the child is just coming up and hasn't gotten it yet, and it's time for me, how am I going to magnify myself if I don't do it through them? You see? You went and sat down, but I'll talk to you later on because I want to know how he found out about me. Yes, sir.
How long did it take to make the planet?
Well, each planet has its own particular time base that was a time period that it was made. What determines the time is what the planet is to do. You know, it's like saying, I'm going to make a cake. It may have taken me 2 seconds to say it. However, it may take me 2 hours, 3 hours to make it. Because it's not that much involved. If I say I'm going to make a planet, it still didn't take but 2 or 3 seconds to say it. However, what I'm making is so detailed and so involved, it may take trillions of years before it comes out into its fullest of what I was doing. Now, some planets, it don't take very long. Well, I'm going to say it don't take as long as others. They vary in time. But no planet is made less than 1 million years.
I got one more question. Why do some children get mad when you say something about their parents?
Why do some children get married?
Mad when they say something about their parents.
Why do some children get mad when they say something about their parents? I'm still lost.
He said, why do some children get mad when other children say something about their parents?
Oh. Well, to the child, the parents is God to them. Being a child, you haven't grown into the wisdom yet to understand that there's another force and power that your parents are actually submitting to. So since you don't know that, this is your security. This is where you come from and through. This is what loves you. So when someone comes up and say anything about them in a derogatory way or something that upsets you, it automatically comes up into you to protect that. Because to talk about your parents is to talk about you or your foundation. This is the same thing what happens with me or anyone else. Now, what is real dear to me is the messenger. You all may not see him. You may say, well, the man is dead. He did pass, but he's far from dead. And what he has done and is still doing, when others come up to speak about him in a derogatory manner, it's like a fire comes up in me. Then I have to use the power of thought, not to do something because of what I'm feeling. If I do something, I have to do it because of what I'm thinking that's just. But to come up and say, even what his son spoke about him when he first passed. His son talked about his father like a dog.
Right. Yes, sir.
But I have something waiting for him. And all of those that were with him and that are still with him, I got something waiting for him. I don't like nobody talking about who or what I love. If you talk about it, you talk about it the way I do.
Yes, sir. That's right.
And if you want to see, if I love you or don't love you, or love the messenger or don't love him, what I do is take something that I do cherish. And if I'm going to test you, I put it in your midst and see how you treat it.
Yes, sir.
Brothers, if I give you a wife and she's a lover of the truth and you try to do everything but that, then that angers me because she's representing the love from me to you. And if you don't see that and don't want to see it, then that don't please me. If she does pray or she comes to me and say, well, my husband so-and-so and so-and-so and so, well, tell him to call me. And I'll talk with him. It's the same thing. However, there's one person, and I hope everyone that hears this tape analyzes very carefully. There's only one person that you can bear witness to that kept his faith and his duty. That's Elijah. Reverend Jones, Pastor Roundtree, nobody did what Elijah has done. And when they speak about Elijah, they don't say Elijah. They talk about Malcolm. Or they talk about Minister Farrakhan. Or they talk about Imam Esau, which one, the brother that passed in D.C., Sharif. They never get back to where all these people learn what they learned. Are you all listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Well, what does that do to me? Here's a person that he stood for 40 years. And how many of you all have stood for 10 minutes and tried to convince your family to do something right? They kick you out of the house. I can bear witness to it, so look how many is here. You're not going to tell me the brothers didn't pass the flyers, that they didn't make it known that I was coming. Here's a man that came in and built a nation. No preacher, no reverend, no clergy, no leader did that. Is that right? Well, this is the same thing that happens. It's nature. And that's why you may get angry if someone does that. Usually they're speaking out of their emotions or they're speaking out of ignorance just to touch a nerve in you to make you angry. But one day you'll be wise enough that you can stop that before they do it, or if they do it, then you can punish them for it. They touch the wrong nerve, so they get the right results from what they touched. You may think, well, this is going to be a long time off. It's not. In order for us to be successful, we're going to have to learn how to use some power. We're going to have to. You have another question?
No, sir.
All right. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I have 4 questions.
You all can have a seat there if you like. The ones that's going to ask questions. You sit right on the outside row. I'm watching you, so I don't worry about the sisters. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, Father, I give thanks for all of everything. There's no words to describe my thanks for you. My first question is to go back to the Quran. Since the black man did write the Quran, I want an understanding between the Adam in Quran and the Adam in the Bible. The Eve in the Bible, I never found Eve in the Quran. And the tree of, it says the tree of knowledge, if I'm correct, in Quran, but in the Bible it says tree of good and evil. I want a definition, understanding of that.
Well, the Adams, there's two different Adams. You're talking about the two different peoples. You're talking about the original man, the black man, that's the real Adam. Then the other Adam is the Adam that we made from us, which is called the Caucasian. That's the Adam they talk about in the Bible. And in the Quran, they don't speak of Eve, because most of the time in the Quran, they got a section set out for the female or the woman. And after that, they very rarely talk about her, because it's a masculine, a master, and you cannot say a master and put it in front of a woman, a Master Jane. You can have a title that says she is a master, but the master before her name, you know, Master Moses, you know, that's a man. In the Bible, they do it a different way. They want to bring Eve in to show that they're equal. That's not so. It's impossible by nature, not because of will or want or feelings or prejudice. So no, ma'am. And they speak about in the Bible good and evil, the tree of good and evil. That's the same as in the Quran. They speak of the tree of knowledge and the tree of life. They're talking the same different language. They're the same language. The tree of life is this tree, the Islam that you're hearing now. You understand?
Yes, sir.
I was asked yesterday, what is the meaning of life? And most of us may think, well, if you are living, you're alive. That's not so. You have to be living to express life, but you can be living and don't express life. So they're two different things.
Yes, sir. Then why was it said for them not to go to the tree of knowledge? Yes.
The ones that, because it's the same principle as us being the Quran. We're not going to go to something that we've already done, completed, and finished with. We go forward. We don't want just knowledge. Before I said, if you're with me, you'll be with knowledge, wisdom, and power. If you're just going to be with just knowledge, that's not enough. So the knowledge that they're speaking about is the knowledge that's in the Quran. That's Islam as we know it from the East is the tree of knowledge. That's the tree of knowledge. If you don't have the tree of life, there's nothing supersedes the Quran or what's in it. But once you get the tree of life, you don't need the Quran.
Okay.
You see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I heard briefly, because I was on post, but I heard briefly speaking about the churches. And I've often wondered when on Sunday morning, I pass the churches and I see them full, and even the Caucasian churches, I see them full. Are they praying to a false God, or are they praying to, who are they praying to?
They're praying to Satan. Whether they know it or not. Most of them know it subconsciously. They just never accept it in their conscious mind. And they don't want to. If you come up with things that show them absolute, what the Bible is teaching concerning what they're doing, they don't want it. Leave my house. If they're in your house, they get up and leave your house. They don't want it. So that lets you know, they know that they're serving a false God. If they didn't know it, and the truth came to them, they would say, oh, I had no knowledge of that. I'm going to string the preacher up. But they don't say that.
Yes, sir.
So they know.
Yes, sir.
However, let me preface that the reason why they do this is because they think they can do what they want to do and get away with it. Who amongst you can point your finger at me and say I did something wrong? When you do that, I'm going to point at you and say, well, I saw you doing so and so and so. So it keeps everybody's mouth shut. You can do what you want and pretend you're looking for right. But if you're really looking for what's right, and someone else is looking for what's right and you find it, and both of you have found it, and you do something wrong, the other person see you, then you got to answer. But it's no problem if you're really looking for what's right. You can say, I didn't know. You won't find me doing that again. Most of them don't do that.
That's right. Well, I guess we can follow right along with my thinking. And the questions, we've been taught, to look for the right and even in wrong. Could you give a clarity on that? Look for the right even in wrong.
Yes, ma'am. If you're looking for what's right, after you find out when it's brought to you and you see it's wrong, before you discard it. If you don't know the idea of why it's there, what took place, what not, you look at it and see if you can find some right in it. If you don't find it, discard it. However, don't just pass it over unless you already know without a doubt that this is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. If you can't say that it is absolutely wrong, look at it. We know that the Caucasian is the grafted devil. So we know his nature is to do things wrong. However, he'll come to you and offer you something right. Now, if you don't look at it and investigate it, you miss your right. You miss the reward of what he was about to offer you. But if you just look and say, well, that's the devil. I know whatever he's coming with is wrong. I'm not going to pay no attention. You missed it.
Yes, sir.
So that's looking for the right in the wrong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My last question is, I always hear you refer, and I also see it in the Quran again, the we, the us. That's not the way we did it, or the us. I want to know who is the we, who's the us.
The we is the same ones that we talked about in the book of Malachi, the fathers. The fathers, the ones that have the knowledge of how things are done from the original, or from the essence, which is the ones at this particular time, the ones that operate the mother plane, the little ships, we call them scientists.
Yes.
You know, it's supposed to be 12 major and 12 minor. Those ones that are major and give the decisions on what will happen, what will not happen, they are the ones that is styled as the we.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. And thank you very much. And again, words do not express the peace and the relief that has shared with me since I've gotten to know you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. You know, it's another thing also. When people go to church and they give their 10% offering, it's almost like where you can bribe God. You can pay your way out of trouble. You know, you can, even if you say you hurt a little bit, you know, you may need to pay a bill. And you take $10 or $20 out of the money that you're going to pay the bill to put it in to show how sincere you are about what you believe or what you want. And God will see it. I got some shocking news for you. You can't buy God. You can't give God anything other than your obedience or your patience or your submission. That's the only thing you can give him. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm a Christian.
Yes, sir.
And I heard that the religion they gave us was taught to us backwards in the Bible that we live our daily lives by has been tampered with. So I was wondering, since I'm a person who's looking for truth, what can I do when reading the Bible to separate the truth from lies that they put in there?
The only way anyone can do that has not come in contact with me is read the messenger's literature. It's not something that I have to do. That part I've already done. Raised a man up, and he stayed here 40 years teaching. Now, your parents should have introduced you to that. Matter of fact, the preachers should have read it and started teaching the truth. You know, reading the Bible is like eating fish. Fish may be good, but you can't eat everything in the fish. You've got to separate the meat from the bones.
Right.
So it's the same thing with the Bible. If it was written by God, if it was sanctioned by God for the righteous, then you wouldn't have to separate it. All of it would be good. All of it would be right. But the Bible is not. Some is good, some is truth. The majority of it is falsehood. Even the way they use the truth, it points you to something that's not true. And just for you making a statement, I'm a Christian. What must I do to find the truth? I'm seeking for it. That would let you know being a Christian is not the right place. If it were doing what it implies, you would say, I'm a Christian. I have the truth. I know the truth. I'm not looking for the truth. I want to share some truth. However, That wasn't his statement. So I wouldn't say any longer, all Christians that think you're a Christian, I wouldn't say that. Just say, I'm a person that don't know. I'm a person that's seeking. And then this way they don't know what you are.
And then the second question I have, how can I take this knowledge that I've learned back into my household without destroying, my home, without having my mother get mad at me?
You start living it. In other words, if your she's a devout Christian,
yes, sir.
What you do, you start living it. What you're learning, you start living it. Not telling her, not trying to make her do anything. You discipline you. And she will start to see, and she asks you, well, why are you doing this, son? You didn't used to do this. You always ate pork every morning. Why are you not doing it now? Well, Mom, it's like the old saying. When I was a child, I did childish things. Since I'm growing up now to be a man, I'm putting away childish things. I don't have an appetite for it anymore. Don't say, well, because the Muslims say you don't do that. You just say, well, it don't sit with me anymore. I don't feel good. And matter of fact, maybe if you backed up off me a little bit, you might feel a little better. They can talk with you like that, but you bring in God, you got to fight. And usually, since you're in their house, you're the one going to get kicked out. But sometimes it's good to get kicked out. It depends upon your level of understanding of what you know. Don't go beyond that. Don't try to make nobody do anything other than yourself. You make yourself be right. They'll see it. This is the same thing that I'm doing. You look around and say, well, just say I am God. Just say I really am. Look. I could make this, I could make any place I wanted to. I could fill it up. I could make the people come. Even if it was from a catastrophe. Have a big football stadium. And bring about a catastrophe in such a way, everybody got to go there just for safety. Then I show up. I do it any way I want to do it. But I don't make people do what they don't want to do. And I don't let them make me do what I don't want to do. So I work on this. I work on me. And I work with the powers of the universe. So if I want to do something, I call on the powers. They answer. This is in the Quran about me. About Solomon. It's in the Quran. All of the powers answered to Solomon. I didn't have to answer to nothing or no one. That's right. It's in the Quran. You can't read it about Jesus Christ. You can't read it about Joshua. You can't read it about Moses. You can't read it about the Lamb. You can't read that about nobody but Solomon. That's right. That's right. It reads in the Quran, he didn't have to answer to nothing or no one. Right. That means he got to be God. Got to be. You mean tell me that here's a being that is living and he's not independent and he don't have to answer to nothing or no one? The math said this man got to be God. All right, you have another question? All right.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Walaikum salam.
Praise be to Allah. I wanted to ask you for clarity and for understanding. And what method or process was the black woman made from us?
Well, this also came from we had to change ourselves around to actually become more physical. Instead of us, we used to put the seed of thought, in other words, a spiritual seed in the earth. And the seed would grow from our will, like we take a seed, meaning our thought, and cast it in space and apply will to it in 1,000 or 2,000, 10,000 years, depending upon what star we want, how big you see a star come about from our will. We used to do that in the earth to bring up beings or bodies to house our thinking. When we lost the knowledge of knowing how to do that, then we had to take the next most powerful thing to us, which is water, on the physical side. So we had to get away from the seed, from the spiritual, and go to the physical. So we had to change our bodies and produce a life force from us with a genetic in it. And then we placed it into this water after we'd done some things with the water. Because the water was almost producing its own self-life. It was bumping against creation. It couldn't break the barrier, but it was almost producing life of itself. So we put our seed in it with a genetic code in it to form and fashion this body. The seed and the genetic code that we had from us, the physical part, made the flesh. It made the boundary for the container of the female or of the water. That's what happened. There's many other things that go along with that. However, everything starts from the unseen, and even the seed that we did this with is still unseen. The sperm, you can't see one by itself. But it holds, every one of us was at one time a sperm. But now, we can see it. And you are what the sperm, the genetics of what that sperm was, that's what you are supposed to be. Well, since most of us are dead now, the black man, you're not that. But the potential is there. So that's how we made the woman. It was all men. It wasn't no females. And it wasn't that this is the first man and we got along and then we went and made a woman. That's not what happened. We had no knowledge of no woman. We had no need of a woman. Wasn't even in our farthest thought. But from the actions of us being displeased, or enacting God being displeased, brought about the circumstances that made us search for another vessel to reproduce ourselves. But we had been here for trillions of years. Was no women. Not even the thought of them. Then because of this circumstance, it brought about the need to bring about this other being and to give this water stability and life that had warmth to it. Because water does have a body if you freeze it. But then you can never snuggle up to it because it's going to melt and run away.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Thank you, Father.
Yes, sir. And when we start to get into the classes of really God thinking, what we have to do today, and I hope you listen, what we must do today is think how we're going to get out of this grip of Satan that's on you. And he uses the woman more so than anything else that we have, because that's the closest thing to us. That's the second us. He uses her to the max. If we cannot conform and reform or save her, then we must destroy her and bring one about that is susceptible to be with, agreeable to be with. We're not going to be cheated and don't have one. And we're not going to be put in misery and be forced to keep the one that don't want to be with us. So today, we got to think, how are we going to get out from this? And what is polluting the water constantly if it is not our open enemy? The man is not hiding. That's why I go by the church and we got so many people coming in and out of the church. That's his mindset. And most of the people that's in the church is the sisters. Like the brother just said, if he go home and start doing this in front of his mother, he may get the boot. He didn't say his father. You see? So how are we going to clean this water up that's already here? If we want to save them, how are we going to do that? We don't have to remake them in the way of a body or whatnot. However, we got to go now. How do you deal with thought where you can influence it to make it do what must be done? This is what I'm doing. I'm not building buildings. This Solomon, since I don't have no physical parents spiritually, I'm the Solomon that is bestowed upon David. Not the physical son that David had. He had a physical son named Solomon. But the Lord told him, I'm going to bestow a son onto you, and his name shall be Solomon. That wasn't the physical Solomon. In other words, David didn't have nothing to do with him in the way of impregnating his wife. I am a spiritual son of his. And David is the messenger. Now, how are we going to use this thinking to elevate ourselves to be able to control what is ours? And the woman is ours. She don't belong to no other man. She belongs to us. We gave the other man his woman. Every race has their woman. And every race have ours. But we don't have theirs. So how are we going to deal in such a way that we can save them and cause them to see who the real man is? The real man. So that's what we got to do. How can the brother go home and talk to his mother in such a way that she says, son, I'm proud of you? Instead of saying, son, you got to get the hell out. You take that mess somewhere else. I got Jesus and he's enough for me. Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
So that's, and when we get into the position where we can actually talk to each other in that God type sense and level about how the woman was make, how we make her, how we can improve her. We got one in the audience today that has already instilled in him the knowledge of knowing how to do that. But he cannot bring it out unless the situation or the circumstances demands it. So I don't come lacking for nothing. If you ain't gonna be with me, black woman, I'll say, hey, the fire is hot. And I know what happens when you apply it to water. It evaporates. You might say, you're gonna get rid of me? No, you get rid of yourself. If you don't accept me, I do to you what I do to the water in the desert. You might say, well, that's a mean God. Talk about the woman. I'm talking about what's right. I'm talking about life. I'm talking about power. I'm talking about what God has planned. If you fit in the plan, if you accept the plan, this means life for you forever. If you reject it and don't have the power to change it, I'm in my rightful place to tell you what to expect. Wouldn't you want that?
Yes, sir.
Would you sisters want that? Yes, sir. What do you think about it? Just think about it. If you're lying on the desert and the water comes, or you come on the desert as water, and you all are the highest representation of water. You are. But the sun controls you. The moon and the sun controls you. Meaning Allah and the messenger controls you. You might say, well, how is that? If there's no sun, there's no light. There's no energy. There's no warmth. You will freeze up and become one mass. You can't move. Is that right? That's right. This is what has happened to you now. You are people that are frozen, especially the sisters. And who froze you is the open enemy. He went into your thinking and gave you thoughts that turn you away from the real man. And then you help him kill the real man. However, the only thing that can thaw you out is the man you just killed. So I come along with a little heat. Warm the man back up, stand him back up, while you're still trying to rain on him. But he puts his hard hat on. He walks through you. And he comes back out into the sunshine again. He get himself together, then he go back into the rain and put it together and bring you out. You think about it. You didn't muddy yourself up. Who did it? We didn't do it. We didn't bring the black woman over here and make you no slave.
That's right.
We didn't do that. I got word back to me yesterday that I said something about the sisters, and the sisters kind of taking offense to it. If you offense, if the truth offends you, and you want to keep it an offense and ignore it, you're in bad shape. You're living at a time now you cannot say that you're God, woman. You cannot say that you're God. You can't say it. You can't even say that you're a man. If you say God, you have to say Godist. If you say man, you have to say woe man. You can't say he, you have to say she. There's always got to be something added to you whenever the man's name is in there. If it's a man, you got to add the W-O to it. If it's he, you got to add the S to it. So this means you are a dependent being. But the one you dependent, you in your rightful place to be dependent. But the one that you rightfully supposed to depend upon, you are killing and keeping it dead. Here's a young man to come out. He's not the only one. I got young children. I had them. And their mother did the same thing. Their mother, not me. So now most of my children are still looking at me halfway cross-eyed. Is he? I remember Mom said so and so and so. It might be true. Mom said it, but did God say it? You see? If God didn't say it, well, how am I to know if God said it? Work your math. If it's nighttime and you're trying to say the sun is out, it's high at noon, something wrong with you. And nobody, you listening? Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Nobody does what I'm doing from a change. You cannot make a change that drastic to do what I'm doing. What I'm saying is, I had to already be this before I started doing it. So I could not have been a bad father. It's impossible.
Right.
Yes, sir, brother. Another question?
One more, yes, sir.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I heard you say that when...
Hold the mic up.
Oh, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. What I'm trying to understand, what you shared with us, when the scientists came and got you and took you on one of the baby ships and took you around the universe and other galaxies, would you share with us what did you actually see?
Well, they showed me star systems, and they let me see each one of them in their totality. Then they would carry me through it. I would see the planets. I would see some life forms there. And one thing I noticed, every planet or star system where there was life that you could actually see, we were told to be extremely quiet. Some thoughts we weren't permitted to think, because they knew we were there. I wasn't permitted to speak out like I'm speaking to you now. This is the only planet that's ignorant. However, the people that was carrying me around showing me all these things are from this planet. So the ones that's on the planet is the ignorant of the universe. But the one that rules the planet is the God of the universe. Now, like I'm saying, they show me different life forms and what they do, how they relate to what we did, how we think. They show me different mass of matter or different types of energy. And they also show what's waiting to aid us when we really want it. But all of the 9 planets in this solar system, this family of the sun, we went to each one of them, and all of them were on the inside so we could talk, do what we wanted to do. And they couldn't detect we were there. But they would come, we'd go to the place, and they'd tell me something. Every place we would stop, every place we were going by, they would tell me something about it. Now, for me to go in and say, well, what I saw, the different colors or the different life forms or the different intelligence it would take, I don't know where to start from. However, we mastered it all. There's no place that we went or that they took me that we can't go. But everybody outside of this planet cannot come here. You get that? They will not break the power of this planet. They will not come here because they were told not to come. I asked. But it's a myriad of things. In other words, this is what makes me to know, and understand that I am that I am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If they submit to me, the ones that's showing, it's the same principle as you as a father take your son around and show him. Son, that's my building. That's my factory. That's my this, that's my that. Tell him a little bit about it. Soon, it'll be yours. I got to move on and do something else. In essence, you're telling him this is what you own. And you give him a little knowledge of it. He, in turn, don't forget what you told him and showed him. His mind starts to rotate on that constantly, whether he's sleeping or woke. And the more it rotates on it, the more the things that he's been shown start to submit to him or send him thoughts that he can pick up. Because the things itself want to be represented in such a way that it is stimulated. Some planets had life on it that the planet itself generated. Some of them didn't generate no life or no power. It was generated from another place and sent to it. So I had to distinguish what I was looking at. Was I looking at something that the planet was producing, or was I looking at something that was coming from another source? We'll get into quite a bit of this after you all wake up. Yes, sir. You know, and a lot of things right now, I don't say because we have allowed the open enemy to peep into some of the secrets. And he's still missing some keys. If I say one or two words, we got it. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here and to receive whatever is meant for me to receive. I have 3 questions for you. The first one concerning the Quran. The verse that mentions that I have created you male and female, different tribes and nations, that you may come to know one another. Can you please explain the meaning behind that?
Yes, sir. The very purpose of us losing our knowledge, or to explore what was in us, brought about a degree of us, meaning that we have the brown man, the yellow man, and the Caucasian. Now, since all of them do exist, since we brought this about, and they do exist, now, we must come together in such a way where the original man can study what was in him. So he's studying it by studying these people. So he can become acquainted as to what his ability is or wasn't. Does he want to continue this, or does he want to set up a way where he destroys this? So that's what that means. It's not meaning that the God made these different people and we're to live together so we can understand each other or become acquainted with each other. That's meaning that the devil is here. He's a people. If God is God, why did he want you to be acquainted with the devil? So it don't mean that. It means that these different fractions of us are here. Now, if you are the original man and we coming in to be a new God or a new people, we got to understand what we were capable of. Now, do we want to continue it, or do we want to totally eradicate it, eliminate it? So we have decided we cannot live in peace with the others. And we have lived with them long enough that we can say without a doubt, emphatically, that we cannot live with them in peace. Peace is not what they desire or will. So that's what it means.
Thank you. The second question, there's a term in Sufi mysticism, Islamic mysticism, to annihilate oneself in Allah or to become one with God. What does that mean?
It means his thinking. In other words, Allah is the author of the universe, everything that exists, even the stranger or this Caucasian or the devil. The only thing Allah is not the author of is Satan. That's the only thing. But the people that serve Satan, the open enemy, the devil, he's still the author of that because God brought him about. Now, up until a few years ago, it was told to us, and we have ways of proving it, that the universe is 76 quintillion miles in diameter. And the diameter of a thing is usually somewhat a third of the circumference of it. So this meaning the sphere of the thinking of the original man, that's how wide it is. And now it don't mean that his thinking is that wide, but what he had in his mind, it took that much space for it to be manifested without being crowded upon each other. So that's what that means. It means when you are completely submerged in with Allah or me being Allah, it means that you have now learned to think mathematically. And the one that does it more freely and more easier is me. But if you do it, it may take you a little longer to come up with the answer. But if you do it the same way I do it, you're thinking just like me. So you merge with me. My will is your will. Your will is my will. I'm God and you God. God talking to God. So that's what that means.
Thank you.
Yes,
And my third and final question, what is a Muslim son?
A Muslim son, the key word, a Muslim first, is one who does all within his power to do the will of Allah. Now, when it comes to, when we add the word son to it, or name son, title son to it, this signifies that the son is not expected to do what the father does because he hasn't been here long enough to gain the wisdom nor power. So now we expect this son to be righteous in a lesser degree than the father. So now, if this is going to be true, it has to be true from the basis of nature, not from the basis of a son growing up, say, for a child of that sort. It has to be from the spiritual side. So the man by nature that can never be the father in this is the man that was the last one that came from the Isle of Pelon. That's the Caucasian. So if he studies from 35 to 50 years, because usually his lifespan is not much more over 70. So he got 20 years to live after he's lived 50 years to actually reap the rewards of what he studied concerning Islam or the truth. So since he can never surpass the father or the creator, we style him as the son. That's what that means.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Father, I just have one question. How is it like we in Florida right now, and like if you go in space, all the, like the state of Florida is down on the side of the planet. How is it that gravity makes us seem that we're not sideways on the planet? But yet, that's
Well, it's because that the circumference is much larger than your height. In other words, you're so close to the ground that you can't see. You're not high enough where you can actually see the horizon, as it really is. So you're so low, you don't have nothing to show you that you're sideways or up. That's why. Now, if you were way up, and if you've ever gone, you ever been in the Empire State Building?
yes. I've been in it, but I didn't go to the tip top.
You didn't go to the top. You ever been on a Ferris wheel?
Yep.
You way up,
Yep.
and they stop it and it rock you and it
Right.
kind of sway a little bit and everything, and you
Right.
can see much further off.
Right.
Well, then by you being able to see much further off, you can have some, if you could get high enough, then you could see if you were leaning or straight. But because you're so close, you can't tell.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. I just want to make an announcement that herb and that oil you sent, it did the job.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, he's a brother that has been, has been experiencing some discomfort in his body because of some type of accident that happened to him, and we sent to him some things that would help him, and we have it on the table. We have, I don't know if we have the laxative, but we do have the herb or the rubbing oil, and it works. I tried it myself. We say, well, God, were you stiff? Not much. But I used it and it works, because if I'm going to, I didn't make it personally, but the man that claims to be the author of it is a scientist, so he says, and we asked him about the messenger, and he said during the messenger's time, when the messenger was with us, the messenger combined with Malcolm X, they sold over 85,000 bottles of it. So I said, well, send it to me, let me try it. And he sent me a sample and I tried it and I said, oh, this works. And he's a black man. So I said, well, I'm going to give it to our people. So I sent it to the brother, and now he's testifying that it works. Outside of me actually healing him, which I'll do shortly, but I'm going through it first. When you all wake up enough where I can start to be handsome the way I want to be handsome, then I'm going to make you that same way. But if I get too handsome, I'm going to frighten you. You really going to think, well, that's God. I don't want to be around. He can read what I'm thinking. He knows I did this wrong. He knows I drank that. When you build a building and you first start building it and you see the people that's building it, they got on coveralls. They have cement all over them. They look atrocious almost, but they work it. when it's completed and the people come in that's going to occupy the building, they have ties, shirt, suit, shoes polished, hair combed, teeth brushed. But you forget about the person that built it. I'm building a nation. So I got my coveralls on now. Yes, sir.
I just want to ask this question. The last conversation we had, and you said I had been to the sun 3 times. Why did I come back from the sun?
Well, mainly because I'm here. And you knew the time. And you wanted to be a part of it.
Yes, sir.
You had a slight anger from the second time you were here.
Yes, sir.
And you didn't accomplish it in the third time. So now you have the opportunity to do it all. But moreover, to bring about something and participate in something that's absolutely new.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Wa alaikum salam. Does this seem strange to you? What you're hearing? Talk to me. This is what you need to know to be God. This is what you need to know to even appreciate God. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Wa alaikum salam.
First of all, Father, I'd like to welcome you again to Tallahassee, you and the family, and everyone that came from headquarters. Thank you very much for coming.
Yes, sir.
Father, I have 2 questions, if I may. The first one requires a brief explanation. The study group here is small, but we are mighty. We've been studying real hard, and we continue to practice our mathematical thinking. And for me, when I'm in the mathematical thinking class and when I'm alone, I tend to do fairly well trying to think mathematically and trying to remember and practice my mathematical thinking. However, I've noticed, particularly lately at my place of employment, and I have a fairly responsible position and I'm supposed to think. However, I find that when I'm at work, and I work with a lot of Caucasians, I work for the state, it's almost like I just completely forget how to think or what to think on, and so much so that I'm marveling at the Caucasians and how well they've mastered mathematical thinking. And I'm wondering what is going on with me in that regard.
Well, you're growing up to be yourself. You know, that's the whole problem. There's 2 different thought patterns here. You know, they have mastered the art of tricks. And when you start mastering the art of being right and exact, the tricks you don't remember. When you used to have, it may not have been presented to you as a trick. This is what you must learn. This is how the business is run. But the whole business is a trick. The whole thing. It's not like some of it is a trick and some isn't, so you can determine what the trick is. The whole thing is a trick, so it looks like it ain't no trick. Because there's nothing to weigh it with. So you learn how to do it. So they say, oh man, this black man is good for our business. He's really working. He get the clients, he take care of things, and you cook it. Then when you start thinking your original way, the right way, foolishness, the brain is not designed to remember. You'll be wondering, man, how come I forgot that? Then you talk to some people and say, well, my memory is bad. I can't remember nothing. You say, why not? I don't know. I just can't remember nothing. Usually, they're black people that say that. It's because you were not created in a way that you're supposed to remember foolishness. Now, when truth comes, you gravitate to it in such a way you remember it. You can quote it. It's not hard at all. But when you tell white people something that's true, even in their own business, they can have a machine that's broke down. And it's very simple. They be in there taking apart on the other side. Here's the thing that's wrong. You tell me the thing is wrong right here. They go everywhere else but there. And sometimes you think they must be doing this on purpose. I mean, just because I told them they don't want to do it. But that's not what's happening. They don't see what you see. They have to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and get back to where you are. Ah, there it is. When you looked at it, 6. So that's what's happening. Since you're studying yourself, how to think right, all of the things that is not producing right for our people, it's starting to become more and more difficult to remember. You growing up.
Thank you, Father.
Yes, sir.
Father, this next question is somewhat personal, and you dealt with it some with the question about the making of the female, but I do want to ask anyway. The most difficult thing that I've had to deal with over the last year, a little over a year, is the separation from my wife. My wife and I have been separated since January of '95 because I accepted my own. However, I still love my wife very much, and she loves me. However, we've not been able to get back together. She will not enter into that kind of relationship with me unless I denounce my father, and I can't do that. However, I still love her, and it's been a very difficult time because we still communicate regularly. We've even taken a trip or two together. And lately I've been thinking I need to somehow put some finality to that relationship. But each time I think I'm at the point where I want to do that, I can't do it. Am I doing something wrong?
Well, no, sir. There are many ways of handling this. It depends upon the brother. In this case, it's you. If you love your wife and she wants you on her terms, or terms that she will accept, but they are unacceptable to you, if you have the patience to wait, if you know she's a good person, and if you have the patience to wait and still go about being yourself as being a man, then what I'm doing, she may say today, denounce your father. Tomorrow she'll say, will you bring me to your father? She can't hold out. I don't want to become too angry with the sister, because I would destroy them. I hear so much, and the devil would love for me to do that. He put them in high position, what he called high positions. They're low positions. Make them earn a lot of money or give them a lot of money, and which they think that gives them power. I don't deal with money. Money is nothing, especially the paper that it's made with or on. The idea of what you have to do to earn it or to keep it or to make it multiply to give you what you call a good life is the thing that will stop you from entering heaven. In order for you to become rich with what belongs to Caesar's, you got to sell your soul to him. Meaning that you have to adopt habits that's against creation. And this is why it's written that it is as hard as for a rich man to enter heaven as it is for a camel to go through an eye of a needle. And remember this. And I would like for you to do this research for me. Everyone here in Florida that's with me, I want to know if you originated from Florida or did you come from another state here. Because this state here has denied me when it was back when the mother country in Africa denied children. Especially if both of them have the wherewithal to do it in the form of currency. And if you are able to touch the God, the real knowledge, to make things work for you. However, all of that produces no children. It produces nothing. So the land is still cheating you. You follow what I'm saying? If it's good water, do to her like we do the lakes. A lake has a boundary. And if it has no water feeding into it other than from under the ground coming up to keep it up, then it means it's there waiting for the man to instruct it what to do or to use it. So if she's good water, hold her until she submits to the sun. And then you can use it. If she's no good water, then let it seep back into the earth and let it be purified. Since she don't want to come up to the sun and be purified, let it go back through the earth. I can understand you love her. However, there is no challenge. There's no competition when it comes to me and a woman. If a brother really understands who he has as his father, and if he starts to love me the way that I already love you, there is no woman that can compare to that. You can't touch it. And to prove to you that this is true, I can take a homosexual woman and take her from her lover. But she can't go get no homosexual man and take him from his lover. You think about that. You think about it. So it is the lesser of yourself that you want to keep being balanced with. If you want to give her the time, do so. If it don't warrant that, I'm still your father. I still love you. I think about you often. All right? Yes, sir. Walaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Brother Solomon, you said last year in Chicago that you was answering the prayers that's been prayed already.
Yes, sir.
Will you expound on that?
Yes, sir. The prayers that has been prayed, the prayers that I'm speaking about are prayers that has been prayed for relief, for to be free. Not prayers that you pray for you want to hit the lottery or you want your wife to love you. Not those type of prayers. Because if you're not free, all those other prayers don't mean nothing. The ones that sat on their porch down here in the South and rocked and whatnot, when they see their son get hung and lynched and castrated, and they prayed, "Oh Allah, save our people. Oh Allah, take care of this man one day. Do it when I can see it, or let my children's children see it. We want to be free. God, take us back with you." Those are the type of prayers I'm answering. They've already been prayed. Any other prayer is a personal prayer for your own personal self. There may be, well, will you heal me? Oh Allah, I'm sick. I need to be healed. I have a bad liver. That's a personal prayer. If I heal you and you're a devil, you're just a well devil. You see? However, the prayers that is prayed that have meaning as a people, that can carry the thoughts and the power and the wisdom of the Creator, those are the prayers that I'm answering. And those are the prayers that the saints has brought to me. It reads in the Bible, but the vials are filled with the prayers of the righteous. That hasn't been answered. Oh Allah, surely I turn myself to thee, being upright, to he who originated the heavens and the earth. That's a prayer that I'm answering. Surely I've been greatly unjust to myself. So protect me against my faults, for none protects me against faults but thou. Guide me into the best of morals, for none does it but thou. Those are the prayers that I'm answering. And if I guide you into the best of morals, you're going to get the fine home. You're going to get the money. You're going to get the friendship. You're going to get the peace of mind. What else could you pray for? You see? So the ones that is in hell and didn't pray for me to take you out of hell, but you want a good, fine looking, shiny car in hell, I don't answer that prayer. Satan answers it.
I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
I've been taught about you all my life. I was born and raised in the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
I grew up in the universities of Islam. Father, I have a thirst. It's to shake your hand.
Oh.
And it's been there for a long time. I got to get it resolved this weekend.
Are you a martial artist?
I didn't want to impose that upon you during the questioning
That's
session.
all right, brother. That's all right. You have that right. I have the right to say no or yes. Or yes or no. Are you a martial artist? Are you not? So you've been wanting to take my hand for some time?
Yes, sir. I have a strong thirst, strong desire.
Come on
Thank
up.
you, sir.
Come all the way up. I want to look down on you. That's wonderful. I hope it stays that way. Prayers are answered. You all right? You all right? Talking to you, my son. Yes, sir. We have another question. Before I answer, you said do we still have any Christians here, or they all left? They've all gone. You know, this is a message. This is why this message this teaching or my being only appeals to the ones that have a base. If you didn't love my messenger, it's hard for you to love me. If you didn't listen to my messenger, it's hard to understand me. But that does not stop what has to happen. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Wa alaikum salam.
Father, I'd like to say first that I love you and I thank you for your blessing and understanding.
Yes, sir.
My question is, I'd like to know the meaning of the words black and Indian.
Black and Indian?
Yes, sir.
Black means to be like. And the essence of that is the first man that on the outside of this planet that was made was a black man. And all other life, since we're the God now, all other life forms that stand in the form of a man or an intelligent being wants to be like us. This is why white people go lay on the beach. They want to be black. They want to be like us. All beings want to be like us. That's what it means. That's the essence of the meaning of the word black.
Yes, sir.
Now, Indian means the end of.
Yes, sir.
Now, that comes about from the Indian or the black man, a portion of us that didn't want anything to do with a supreme being. They wanted to go off on some of their own powers and do what they wanted to do. However, they didn't have the power to do it. So they asked permission. Could I leave you and have nothing to do with you? May I be free of you? And just from the point of them having to ask to God, lets you know they didn't have the power to do it within themselves.
Yes, sir.
So, in order for us to give them the proper name that has the proper meaning for today, we gave them the name or the title Indian. That's the end of them.
Yes, sir.
They was exiled over here 16,000 years ago, according to the lesson.
Yes, sir.
And even the people that are still there in India, they don't recognize me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Father.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Real powerful brother there, trying to harness that power he got. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Wa alaikum salam, brother minister.
Yes, sir. Father, first of all, I'd like to also say how much we appreciate your presence here in Tallahassee and express how much we really love you. However, I can't find the words to do that. What I'd like to do is make mention of the fact that I don't know how many people in the room are actually from Florida or from Tallahassee, but I was born and raised right here in Tallahassee, Florida. And I was the brother who asked the first question the first time you came to Tallahassee concerning the name Tallahassee itself. For quite some time I have thought about it and pondered it because since I've been here, this has been my home, I've heard many legends concerning Tallahassee. Number one, even when I was with the messenger, it was brought to our attention, the Muslim group here, that your name is directly after the capital letter T. Also, since I have come to know you and come to study with you, I recall that the city of Tallahassee is referred to as the city of 7 hills. And I know that that's no coincidence or no mistake. And that's not just by chance. Also, I had been given some thought and had looked around. To my knowledge, there is no group of people such as a team who has a mascot that is a snake other than here. Here, this is the home of Florida A&M University. And the brothers and sisters here have become very well known because of their outstanding ability to develop skills and to display the God nature all over the planet Earth. However, this is the only place where the mascot of a snake, which to me is still a serpent, has been given to the black man. He wears this image with pride. However, I also know the nature of the rally is to give warning, not like other snakes. And I wanted, if you would, to elaborate a little bit on that, because I know that my home, Tallahassee here, is a very unique place to you because you made mention of that once before.
Well, yes, sir. There's going to be a few that do come from here that's going to be very impressionable over the states and outside of this country. Most of the ones that develop here that are not with me, you're going to almost have the extreme of both sides, that are not with me are very deceptive. Even where Tallahassee is located, it's almost like you all know where the appendix is on your body? This is almost like the same way as this city is concerning this country. You know, and the country goes all the way down past the Florida Keys. It has the best and it has the worst, but it promotes the worst. Now, the ones that come out of here, you're going to actually really know concerning me, and you'll be able to testify. Some will be close to me. Others that really testify hard for me won't be with me. It may seem strange. They won't be with me, but they're going to tell other people about me. I don't know if that helps you or not. It's nothing like way white people has it set up. This is the capital of Florida, isn't it? They have it set up for one reason, we have it set up for another. It's very close to the state that I'm going to birth. Matter of fact, it touches it, and the people there, the real rulers of this place, there's going to be some real strong interchanging there. However, it's going to be hard to get anybody from here to actually go all the way with this. I'm talking about the ones that are from here, not the ones that came and live here now.
Yes, sir. I noticed when I was with the messenger starting back in 72, most of the members that were with the temple here were students from other states, larger cities who had come here to go to school. And it's just as you have said. I've observed this. Just as you have said. There's a lot of false pride here because this is the home of two universities. One is the mascot of an Indian, which is Florida State, and the other is the mascot of the snake, which is Florida A&M. And I know it's no coincidence, however, I'm observing and studying constantly, the mindset that this is producing.
Yes, sir. Well, in the Bible, it starts off with the snake or the serpent. And it also tells you, be wise as the serpent. So letting you know it's wisdom there. So maybe they got a right mascot.
Thank you, Father.
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Wa alaikum salam.
The question that I had to ask, Father, the captain and I was conversing with each other, and the question came up about young children between the ages of from 6 months to 1 year, or from 1 year to 2 years. Is it true that with some men, when they come in the presence of children, that they don't know or have not known for a while? Is it, and they bring laughter and happiness to the child? Is it because the child has been in contact with that individual's entity in the past, or do they know that entity? Or is it also has been said that those men are sometimes considered as heroes to the child? Is that true?
Well, you can put it in that language, it's understandable. However, what the child is experiencing is the warmth and the security of parent or a knowledge that's higher than him. He feels no threatening motions from it. He feels security. He feels a wanting from the individual towards the child. This makes the child happy because the main thing on the child's mind at that time, is to search for that they don't know. And then when they see something that is more powerful than them, but it's in a very conducive manner, they feel happy. And they're trying to speak in such a way to teach it something. To give me something. Give me some power. Tell me something. And to let you know this is what children do. You can go and buy them a toy. But the thing that you're working with, it may be a mixer, a blender, or a pair of clippers. They'll throw the toy down and go get what you got. And you have to watch them because they will break it. They'll tear it apart. They're trying to find out, well, what makes this tick? So that's why they do it. It's not that they are a destructive child, a person. They want to be taught. And when you come in, you have this. When I go to places, most times children eat me up. I can't get away from them. You know, and they be on me, and they look at, even some children, they'll look at me for a while and go, this can't be true. And they'll watch. And I go to put them down, or take them off me, and they stand for a while, and then just by the time their feet go to hit the ground, they drop. But the whole time they was with me, they were giving me the impression, I'm still checking you out. When I go to put them down, they drop. They don't want me to put them down. Because they see and they pick up from me, here is someone that I can learn from.
Yes.
I see real love, and that's what they call real love. If you give a child everything, they'll get mad with you, to curse you out, disrespect you. But if you make them earn some things, they might talk. Well, my mother always, she always wanted to do, I got to do it. But then, like the brother said, you say something bad about it.
Yes, sir. Here's one other question, Father. It was said yesterday by some of the members that belong to Minister Lewis's camp that Minister Lewis was the Jesus that was supposed to come in this time. And it was also said that how could it be he not be the Jesus and he's meeting all of the high potentates of the world? Would you expound on that for just a moment, sir?
Yes, sir. The ones that are making that statement are living proof that they have not studied the time, nor the prophecy. It is not prophesied no place that the Jesus would come in this day. If it is, it would have to say Jesus Christ, not just Jesus. And the ones that, when the God did appear, it was going to be just the way you see it here. A few would come up now and then. He would be mostly talking to those ones in their homes. You might say, well, Brother Solomon, you're not talking to people in their homes. I am. They're getting my tapes. So it's just a few people that is listening to it in their homes. But as far as coming out and making large congregations, and I'm speaking to kings and potentates, whatnot, that's not the way it is written. It's written that that road is broad. It has to be, because these kings are kings of countries. So they have a lot of people. So they have to be broad. However, the road to hell is broad. And it is filled. The one that the Jesus Christ was on was straight and narrow. There wasn't many people on it because they didn't want to be on it. So what the minister is doing, he has sold himself out to the devil. I don't mean white people, but to this devilish thinking for a reward that he thinks he deserves. And he constantly says, you can hear him say, dear Holy Apostle, you deserve that. When I heard the last Savior's Day, he was on the beach relaxing and getting a little rest. Well, I'm not saying the man didn't deserve it. But for someone to say, you deserve it, he says, yes, I do deserve it. It kind of sends a chill up you. You know, and a brother hollered, Brother Minister, we love you. You ought to love me. Well, that's what he said. So for someone to come in this day and time doing that definitely is not the one. And he has turned their thinking or magnified their thinking in error. They're in error. However, Let's look at this. If someone comes to rob you in the dawn, are you listening? In the dawn, they come to rob you. And they get away. And then the sun comes up. And it shines on the one that robbed you because they still have your possessions. What does that do to you, the one that got robbed? Or are you going to go and say, oh, you robbed me, you can have it? Or are you going to become very angry with that person? And especially if the person that robbed you lives with you. This is an individual that has robbed his brother in his brother's house during the dawn. And then when the sun rises to break the cycle of the darkness, and the one that got robbed sees his wares with his brother, and he robbed all of his brothers, and they number in the thousands. But he himself is only one. The only thing that will save him is God himself. So he's in trouble. Those ones that are announcing or believing that he is the Jesus, or he is the Christ, or he is the one for this time, if they keep breathing, they're going to have to know they were in error based on him saying this. Then their loyalty turns to anger. And if he don't know God, and they don't know him because he didn't let them know him, what's he going to do? He can't go to the Arabs. He can't go to the Eastern religion and they accept him. They want to use him. He don't belong to them. He belongs to me. So that's the dilemma that he's in. And they are in the same way. He has them to speak of me ill, or to think of me in an ill manner, or to keep people from me, perpetuating their death. And his followers are doing the same thing. When they find out that they have robbed, he has robbed them, and they in turn robbed others from a relationship with the supreme being. In creation itself, we put in you something called conscience. And when the weight of your sins and your duty of what you have failed to do come upon you through the agent of your conscience, and strikes fear in your heart to the amount that you can't control, who's going to save you? If I'm not God and don't change my mind or don't do it, there is no one you can call on, because the people that you deceived the righteous. And it's written in Ezekiel that he being the head of it, made the hearts of the righteous sad. And if someone makes my child sad because of their father, a boy just came and spoke and just said, it upsets him when someone says something negatory or derogative about his parents. But to stop you from receiving the love from me, the Christians say, I am love. They got it right. I'm more than that. But to stop you from receiving just that part, when you could have done better, what price should you pay? And how can you protect yourself when the ones that you have to fight are the ones that's in your home, that feeds you every day, that take care of your clothes and carry your car and wash it every day? When will you know when they're going to slip you the Mickey? What room would you have to sleep in to keep from being stabbed in your back? How many eyes must you have in and around you to make sure you see the impending danger? You see? The ones that say that he is, they say it because he said it. Math don't say that. And math don't lie. The math says it'll be one that hasn't been known before. He'll be speaking a strange tongue and performing miracles. He has the power in his hands. It's all vested in him. He can destroy nations and will do it. He come to save the remnants, the 144,000. That's what he came for. The rest had made him so despicable or so angry with them that he didn't even count them. They were nothing. So when I destroy you for ignoring me, I haven't lost nothing. However, the one that kept you from me that will make you something, since you don't want to place this one beside your zero and become something, he styled as death. So what must I give him? Not death. It will end his misery. Death is promised, but how shall it be delivered? You will receive it, but when will it come? You must have it because it's written, but who's going to deliver it? Is there any chance possible that we can turn this around? You should ask these things. And those of you that are with him and think nothing of me, keep breathing. I'm not angry with you, I'm just disappointed. I am the supreme being. Everything that is wants to be with me. I'll say it again. Everything that is, that's right, that has the power to multiply themselves or itself from the power that is vested in it from me, from creation, wants to be with me. Because in my absence for the few thousand years, it has not been able to multiply itself. Everything has become stagnant. It's yearning and longing to be free. So we cannot allow anyone or anything to stop this freedom that is now in hand. I would not want to be in his shoes if they were bigger than this earth. The best thing he could do is pray in earnest that I and we forgive him. I'm speaking this way. I'm not angry with him. I've already set up my anger. However, I see what's happening and what's going to happen. He has painted himself in a corner. So what can I say? I'm the man. I'm the Jesus Christ. You know, if this by any means is distasteful to anyone, you haven't studied your man. You have got to see what God says. And if God is not a liar, and he's not, how can you then make him a liar? Is it that your ignorance is speaking to you? Or the devil is speaking to you through your ignorance? And because you don't know, you think I shouldn't know either? You should ask yourself these questions. There is one that must know. One that must know. I read in his paper that came out, the last one. He was out in the desert. I think it's titled after what's now after the march? Now something of that. March 20th edition. He went into the desert. He said, I closed his mouth. Wouldn't let him say anything. After the Million Man March. And according to all statistics, they said it was a success. But he used the language that he was depressed. That's right. That's what he said. That God don't bless you and then you become depressed. That's right. That's right. What God blessed you? The character of the devil, the God devil, is disappointment. He will make you successful in the eyes of many people. until he brings you to the finale and then disappoints you. And from that disappointment, you slip and slide into depression because it wasn't God from the beginning. When I bless you, you're happy. You can't find the words to express it in this language. So that language tells you what God he's serving, whether he calls him me or not. The math says it is the God that is the opposite of me. Point blank. God wants to make mockery of me. He wants to take the one that we set on the seat and make him to be shameful in the eyes of the world, so that the world would look at me when I did come and think very little of me. That's not going to happen. The ones with me, I make you so happy you forgot you was ever sad. You can't remember a day you were sad. And since I'm not angry with him anymore, why is it that he won't let me show my power? He don't have to go to the east. I'm not there. He has taught it in many times that the God would rise in the west. Why is he going to the east? I'm not there. And if the God is raising up in the west and he's here and he says he's not God sometimes, where is he? He can't go to the east and find something in the east that's supposed to be in the west. So why don't you try me, brother minister? I'm a God that's almost bound up with power. It's seeping all out of my veins. My head actually runneth over with oil. You should let some spill on you. Yes, ma'am. I don't want to go too far in that because I could really go. Well, I kind of like it that you like it. However, I'm not talking about the man. This is the glory in the feeling of knowing when something is real and you have the power to experience the reward of what's real. When we linger in falsehood all the time, you're still searching, you're still wanting, you're still longing and yearning because you haven't put your hand on what really is. You haven't put your soul on it. You haven't set your mind on it to see it for what it really is. So you're always denied. But just the fact of the way that I'm expressing the math, I'm not making mockery. I'm making a statement that's real. There ain't nothing he can do with it but come like everybody else and ask me for forgiveness. It's already written that he said he would do that. I'll turn it over to you, Solomon, if you promise not to kill me with the sword. I didn't kill it. I just told him, if there's any goodness found in you, if there is any goodness found in you, why would I ask that? Shouldn't I know? If there is any goodness found in you or any righteousness, not a hair of your head will touch the earth. Now it's left up to him to prove to himself that there's some righteousness in him. Not that I don't know. I already know. However, whatever that is right and righteous that he has, if he performs it or attempts to perform it, then that magnifies me and I will aid him in that. However, he asked me not to kill him with the sword, and the sword is the truth. No razor can cut you as sharp as the truth. Because I can cut you with a razor, you can put it back together. But when the truth slices you, there is no putting it back together. You can only be forgiven, but it can't be put back together. That's the way God thinks, and that's what I do. I operate out of love, not fear or hate. I don't hate the minister. I don't fear him, and nobody else, and no one else, and nothing else. I operate out of love of the truth and for the truth. That means I am the truth. I gotta love myself and everything that exists that represents me. So I have to love it. And if I love it, it gives me a reason to use the power that I have to make sure that it reflects me. I put a good smell on the flower. I put a thorn on it to make sure when you go to take it off where I can't see it, you pay a price then. Now, if you're going to take it off, you have to be very skillful to take it off and don't damage the flower or don't get hurt. You see what I'm saying? And if you're that skillful with it, you're going to do something with it where others will see what I did anyhow. Out of love. So the best thing that can happen for the black man is for him to come to be with me. And as far as the minister and those that are with him, he should start shouting immediately that I have made a tremendous error. A tremendous, tremendous, tremendous error. I asked Allah to forgive me 1,000 times. And would he give me the strength to turn around what I have turned from him? I may consider answering that prayer. However, it has to be prayed from him. That's the way out. You won't find it no place else. There's no living being on or in the planet that is doing or even want to do what I'm doing. To deal with your thinking. Matter of fact, when the 12 scientists got together and they all said, well, look, we found them. They got to come back to us. One said, oh, no. Them, before they can return, they must have a thorough knowledge of themselves, our religion, and everything that we do. They got to know. But no one, not one of them jumped up and said, I will go and teach them. Not one. It was one prepared to go. They didn't go. They didn't come here to teach us nothing because they knew the misery and the pain and the discomfort that they would have to go through to deal with your stiff-necked, hard-headed rebelliousness in your thinking. So they said, I'm not going. Hell no. I will send one. And if he fails within the time that we have allowed it, kill them all. That's written. You can't say that I'm lying. The prophets predicted it. And you cannot say that we are not in a terrible condition. So much so, just a mere thought of God showing up in Tallahassee, 2 people come out. And one of them come from out of state. What is it? You don't believe me? You don't believe that this is God? Well, then you bring me yours. If you don't want to bring him, send him. And I guarantee you, when the smoke clears, if there is any, I'll be standing. You might say, well, Brother Royall, Brother Solomon, Allah, well, what are you doing today that's proving that you're God? I'm making everything you do miserable. I'm making everything you love turn to dislove. I'm making everything you trust turn to distrust. Everything you cherish, you're now starting to let it go. You haven't seen the forces of nature like it is now. You haven't seen it in the past this way. The rain is unusual. The heat is unusual. The devil himself is unusual. You would think about it. There's so many things is happening, he cannot even predict it or announce it all. If he told you everything that was happening, you'd have a heart attack. You wouldn't see no daylight. So he'll tell you about things that he calls big. Way off someplace. But the planes can't stay in the air. The trains can't stay on the tracks. You think about it. We had one train come off, they had to evacuate the whole town. And not just in this country, other countries that is with this country committing fornication against you, black man. What am I doing? I'm removing the blockage that is stopping you from coming to me, which is the minister. You keep looking at him as though he's going to get $1 billion or even more than that and backing from some other country to make something here for us. Even if I permitted that to happen, What could you build other than what's already here? You're going to go and build a house for low rent? White people do that. You're going to make a school so you can teach your own children what you want them to teach? What you going to teach them about the hotel? About ISIS? What you going to teach them? And they that have the wealth, what are they learning? So what could you possibly do with it? Now, if one has been predicted to come that has a new knowledge, so much so that even the angels of heaven made a new song to this one. They call him Wonderful Counselor, Prince of Peace. That's the one that should have the gold. And I do have it. I just want to see how long you all are going to stay away from me to give me, not giving me the reason to use it. I'm not going to build no big, beautiful homes and big, beautiful things. And then you all come and occupy it with the same old thinking. You think about this. Things don't excite me. Fine homes, that's good. But everything has to be maintained. I like people. I like souls. When you learn, I'm free of you. And I can be free because if you're learning from me, I taught you right. And the practice of right automatically rewards you. And you can learn how to be creative in your thinking and in your being. So when we see each other, we always illuminate each other. I don't have to go and do something for you. You don't have to come and do nothing for me. But if I have a fine home and a fine car and a fine all this other fine, if I have the gold, I got to make sure it don't lay around and get cankered. If I got a fine wife, if I don't have this knowledge, I got to keep watching to make sure you don't steal it from me. You see? So you got a bunch of burdens. I don't have one. You're going to be with me, or it's not going to be no you. I'm saying this for the ones that's hearing it on the tape. You will be with me, and it's taught in the messenger's teaching, we will be one or nothing. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, Father. I come with a question from Sister Daria out of Jacksonville. She couldn't come to the mic. She asked, what would cause a person who you took as a friend to pursue you as an enemy? Could it be that Satan is pursuing you through this person? And if so, how do you handle this person, especially if it's someone you work with?
Let me see if I understand the question. The person that is the friend, you see them as your friend and they're not? Are they really the friend? Would you read the first part?
Okay, what would cause a person who you took as a friend?
You can stop right there. Right there. If you accepted them as a friend, that would be different. If you took them as your friend, you messed up. This is something you did, not something they earned or it should be. This is something that pleased you at the moment. However, they were never your friend. So when they lived out and proved to you they weren't, it's disappointing to your own self because you took that. I don't take people as my friend. And it makes it easier for me to tell them of their error. But if I took them as a friend, and I did that once, in my ignorance, I took a man as my friend and whatever he wanted. If I had it, I gave it to him. If I had the means of getting it, I would go get it. He and I were one, I thought. But it was three in the relationship. The third one, I didn't know about it until the relationship was almost ended. It was he and myself and my wife. You see? So since I took him as a friend, he took something valuable to me. And when I found out about it, it was earth-shattering. How could he, as a friend, do that? You see? Now when people come to be my friend, I set up classes. If you want to be my friend, come to learn how to think like me. And if you think like me, you're going to be my friend because you can only do the way you think. If you don't think like me, you can't be my friend. You'll be an associate. Because you're going to slip off sometime and go in that other thinking. And I can't be your friend. You see? If that answers the question. Yes, ma'am. What time is it? 5 to 6. Are you all getting a fill? Oh, you got enough? Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Walaikum salam.
I just wanted to ask you a question. I was having a little trouble with, in reference to my family. In reference to my family. My children, which I spoke to you before, are here today. Are here today. And they live during the week with my mother, and on the weekends they come and live with us. And I'm trying to, show them the right way to go through mathematical thinking. They're young, but I want them. This is the right way to go. I've been out in the world, and this is the right way to go. And I want them to be with you. And I'm having a little trouble with the step-parents, the other half, that teaches them the wrong way to go. And it hurts me because I love my children, and my stepfather is an unbearable person to deal with, and I'm trying to deal with him in a way that, Father, I really just don't know. Every good thing that we do as a family, he has intercepted and tried to get them not to do the right thing. And my husband, Brother Minister George, is so patient in everything because I know they're going the wrong way. I know he's teaching them the wrong thing. And it's unbearable to me with him. It's getting to be where I can't take it, being water and everything. And it's,
how old are the children?
The children are 5 and 7. They're young children, and they're very smart, and
well,
he is the one. The boy is the one that I'm really concerned about because he is a Muslim because of his thinking, and I know he is.
Well, this is what you do. They're at an age where what they're in won't hold them. Regardless of what your stepfather or the rest of the family does, as long as he or she don't take their life, they're not going to stay with them. They will automatically come in the right thinking. They come here for that. This is another classic example. Not saying that your stepfather or your parents know me, or their grandparents or whatever know me, but just the fact of wanting to do right, and he don't want them to do that. It shows the hope of this world thinking that it has on the people that's coming up. I myself came in the messenger's teaching. I brought all of my family into it. And only today, out of 10, I have about 3, possibly 4 with me. Possibly. I do know I have 2 confirmed. But I don't worry about that. The scientists told me, and I want you to listen, because if I went through it, many of you all have to do the same thing or is going through it. First place, the messenger says some of us are going to be tried severely. Some of us will lose our very family. And that happened to quite a few. We lost our family. In introducing myself to myself, the scientists let me know that all of my children would be with me. He said the only difference that you have different from the messengers is that your children will be with you and the messengers wasn't. Outside of that, it will be just as hard on you as it was the messenger. Well, my children was younger than what you're saying, on up. The ages ranged a little higher. However, this is something you have to come into your mind and say, well, if this is God doing this, and you don't have your children, then you ask the why. Why, Allah? What is the purpose for that to take place? And wait for the answer. You do what you can do. You come up and hit up against the shore. If the dirt don't move, don't force it. If you come up and keep trying to force it and it won't move, you bring misery to yourself. Because your children are mine. And they're born and they're at an age, regardless of what is done to them, they're going to be with me. You don't see me doing a lot of things now where you can actually say, well, yes, he's doing it, or this is really good. God is really moving. You don't see it yet because I'm still getting the mindset of a few people in place so we can take the weight of the masses when they come. However, things are going to happen so rapidly. And the messenger taught this. He said the nation would fall and look like it will go away and won't be back no more. However, it will rise again, never to fall. And the growth of the nation would be so rapid, it would look as though the black man was never down. Now, what that is saying is this. All of the misery that we're actually participating in now and experiencing, when I actually step it up, the things that you'll be doing and witnessing and bearing witness to will be so in accord with your nature and your will, you will forget that you was ever concerned about your children. Your stepfather will come and bring them and give them to you. And you won't have no trouble with them adopting this or growing in this or magnifying themselves in this because their mind is already geared for this. So let that weight of what's happening, let it go. They're going to be with me. They don't have no other place to go. They don't have but 4 more years for people that is like that. That would stop young people from doing right. Stop them from being guided right. They don't have but 4 more years. Now you may say, well, 4 years is no time. How are you going to do all this? It's also written, I can do it in one day, 24 hours. Not no one day meaning 1,000 years. 24 hours, one day. This can be done in one day. And the messenger told us that this God, this new God, is so powerful, if he wants to, he can take the righteous, raise them above the earth, place the molecules so tightly that you can actually stand on them in space while he drew them in beneath your feet. The one he's talking about, you looking at him. I know how to do it. If I couldn't think of it, I couldn't do it. And what you all hear me say, you don't have people talking this way. They don't even think this way. Is that right? So the misery and the pain that you're going through has called me into existence, not now, but yesterday. When Elijah asked, or when Moses asked, which is the fullness of Elijah, or Elijah is the fullness of that, Lord, didn't you hear our cry? That's what you're doing. He says, I heard your cry by reason of your taskmaster. Meaning he told them why they were crying. He didn't just hear it and want to say, why are they crying? They were crying by reason of their taskmaster. And the minister came out and talked about this Willie Lynch thing, which so many black people have fallen into and still in it. And so I can say, I'm hearing your cry by reason of this taskmaster that's here. But I answered it back then, and I'm going to answer it and put a period behind it this time. Are you all listening? Yes, sir. So don't be sad. You be happy that you know me. And if you know me and love me, I love you, and I love what comes from you if you love me. And the children don't have to go through no long thing where they be indoctrinated into foolishness, where they cannot come out of it. Is everything all right? Is there something else? Yes, sir. It is? 4 after 7? Excuse me. We got to go. I didn't know the time had passed so quickly. However, this is not the last time, and this is the end of me. So you constantly pursue me and pursue the brothers that's here. That's how you do it. Pursue the ones that's here and get whatever you need. I appreciate those of you all came out. I appreciate it. I'm going to continue to be myself so that you can be yours. I love you. Assalamu alaikum.